Hi there. I decided to make another video for YouTube, and it's been, I think, over a year since the last time I did this. The reason being is that I've had a lot of things weighing really heavily on my heart lately, having my own personal struggles, lessons, realizations, um, all ordained by God, which I'm so blessed for to be able to see things in this light. But basically today I just wanted to talk off the chest about love because love is such a powerful thing that we experience as human beings, and we're sadly living in a world today which really conflates the idea of love with other things that shouldn't really be conflated with. So I'm gonna get a little personal here and share some stuff with you guys, and maybe some of you will relate or get where I'm trying to go with it. So um, I'm fortunate. I have a lot of love in my life, the love of God for me, my family, and for everybody, of course. But I wanted to recognize that, and I'm very appreciative of the fact that He's able to love somebody like me who's not perfect, who does commit sin, who's human, all too human, just like everybody is. Um, I have a loving wife who puts up with me, and she's been a gift in my life. Has taught me a lot of lessons along the lines of love. I have two children who I love very much, and they love us, but they're very young, so their ability to express complex things are not at the level that mine are now, but they'll probably surpass me when they get to be my age. So it's just a very life on its own, even in the mundane sense, has a way of teaching us very profound lessons if we only learn to look. Um, Now, the purpose of this video is more to touch on aspects of divine love, or what we would call unconditional love in the mundane usage of the words. So, this is hard. So, I'm experiencing something where I have love for people who are, well, I love everybody. I'm kind of like, I want to see the best outcome for everyone possible. Even the people I don't like, I don't want to see anything bad happen to them. I think it's important to rise above this idea of, well, you're a crappy person, so you deserve what's coming to you, or this idea of karma. I mean, I understand the principle of the teaching wheel. If you do bad, what you put out comes back to you, and I agree to that to a certain extent. But it doesn't mean that just because somebody has slighted you in the past, that gives you a carte blanche to uh, to do it back to them. And I think that's where Jesus' teachings are so important, because he said, if somebody hits you on the cheek, give them the other one. It's like two wrongs don't make a right, and that's totally true. Um, but if you look at the Ten Commandments, even like one of the main ones is to uh, love others. Love others like yourself. Love your neighbor, and don't be covetous. Don't lust after your neighbor's wife. Don't lust after your neighbor's things. Don't wish ill on them. Like all these, they're very, very basic ideas that are founded in, I think, unconditional love. So on one hand, we're called to love people, love, okay, and not just in the way that we look at love now, which is like more of a sexual relationship based love. Love, I think love goes much deeper than that. And this is something that I am kind of working through as I speak. It's like I have some people in my life who I'm close with who I love a lot, and uh, there's one of them that's a female who I love very much, who's not my wife, and that is a constant struggle for me to figure out how to, I guess, maybe to relearn how to love without all the attachments of um, the physical life, like whether it be the wanting to uh, sorry, it's just hard to express. How do you love people like they're yourself without wanting something from them? That's the only way I can put it. Like, so anyways, I love my wife, and we're happy and we're able to share. We've even been talking about this, and that's why I'm making this video, because I think it helps me just to share. If somebody sees it, they might be able to relate a little bit and might help them with what they're going through. So, yeah, I think it's a real challenge and something that we have to be able to do if we want to see the kingdom of God, is learning how to love those in our community, those that are around us, how we want to be loved, and without getting hung up on the physical, whether it be lust or the attraction or anything like that. The other thing too is, like, in a simple way, like, I have a hard time hugging people that aren't, like, especially females that aren't my wife, even though I love a hug. Like, there's nothing that feels better than a nice hug from someone that you care about, even someone you don't know that well. It's just a warm, a nice thing to have that embrace, and it's like you connect in those moments, right? Or when you're having a deep chat with somebody, and you have their full attention, they're listening to you, and they're not judging you. Like, those experiences are sadly become so rare in our world, but they're so important. They're so important. So I think we have, as a society, as a human race, kind of a hang up right now, and we've got all the wrong labels and all the wrong things, and like Valentine's Day is a pretty hideous example of what love isn't really supposed to be about. So, trying to tie this in, this love chat with some of my spiritual thoughts, and I find it's interesting, if you were to literally follow the 10 Commandments in your life, you would love those around you unconditionally, not selfishly. They would love you back. You would essentially be a human family, not a human family segmented into little units with quid quo pro, or whatever it's called, where it's like, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. Like, right now, we're almost working on a barter system where, okay, I'll love you if you love me back, or even the relationship model, like, you'll be my husband, I'll be your wife, and this is a deal, this is a contract we have with one another to love unconditionally. But we shouldn't even need a contract. It should just be inherent that we unconditionally love one another. And it's so much easier said than done, and it's a two-way thing. It's very hard to unconditionally love somebody who doesn't love you unconditionally back. And that's why Jesus is such a profound figure, because he unconditionally loved the world, and if people decided to reject the love of God, then there's nothing that he can do about that. But to remain humble in the face of unrequited love is, I think, one of the biggest testimonies that Jesus had when he was here. And I always think of, like, the woman that was caught in adultery as such a strong example of this. And where she's been caught, she's done something awful, she's sinning, and everybody surrounds her and tries to get Jesus, and they say, we want to stone this lady. She's a sinner, the penalty's death. And he says, well, the first among you that has not committed a sin, pick up a stone and stone her. And nobody could stone her, because they're all guilty of sin. And so in that situation, she obviously had done something wrong, quite wrong, and but the only thing that was going to fix that scenario and heal that was love. And so Jesus showed her love by saving her life and said to her, "Your sins are forgiven. Don't do it again." And that's it. And I think he taught a lesson to everybody that was there, and everyone who's read those words to this day has learned something so profound by that. And anyways, I'm gonna stop on this line of thought because it's getting way too emotional here. But what I want to tie it in with is I was watching a video. A guy, I just think his name is James. I haven't been able to find the video again, despite trying for some time. And he's kind of like a hermit guy, sort of living solo during this time, as a lot of people are, and he's making videos here and there as God's calling him to share things. And he had this video where he was talking about this experience he had with God in 2017, where he basically got a message, a warning message, as a lot of us have had about the times coming. And I'm going to sum it up what his message was and how this ties into what I'm talking about. So he was told essentially in 2017 that the great battle between good and evil was coming, between light and darkness, and that God's people would be placed in areas outside the cities, sort of hidden in the wilderness somewhere, and that he would draw them together, sort of like grapes on a cluster of a vine, into little pockets, so that when everything goes wrong in the cities and in the world, which I think a lot of us sense is coming at some point, that these little groups, these little clusters of light or God's people will be able to survive what's coming. And while most of the other people are starving and suffering immensely in the cities, which is a punishment from God, I think, for not learning to follow the commandments, or trying to follow the commandments. I don't think any of us are perfect at it, but they haven't made an effort towards Him, towards those higher ideals of life, and to be more in tune with the world and nature. So I think it's kind of a punishment for them, and on one hand he's saying, you are my people, I'm going to take you and put you aside over here and you'll be okay. You're going to struggle, but you'll be okay. So anyways, this guy's vision was talking about that, how these people that are God's people, at the same time that the world is collapsing, are going to be put in these little pockets to kind of weather the storm. And then this guy stressed that the one message that was very, very strongly resonating in this message from God was that community and loving one another is so important during that time in these little communities, because the only way to get through what's happening is if you come together and love one another. Because you don't, you can imagine if you don't have access to all the things we become accustomed to, like stores, automobiles, and medicine, and all these things, like you're going to have to take care of one another in a real, tangible way. And that means like not just physically, emotionally, everything, because it's going to be hard. And I don't think, like, no man's an island. You may be strong as nails, you may be the toughest guy on the block, but I mean, there's some things you just can't handle alone, no matter who you are. So that's going to be, I think, so important. And so anyways, he stressed this, that it was these little communities that are going to make it to the other side, and that there's hope in that, when the dust settles and the new world order comes up, and we talk about the phoenix rising from the ashes and all this kind of stuff. We can see that web is being laid out to take over after the collapse happens. That's when our time of hiding will be over, because they'll find us. They'll know where we are. And they'll be outraged because they've been suffering for, I'm guessing, 3.5 years. And us that were removed by the grace of God have not been. We've been struggling in different ways, but we have the light of hope, Jesus Christ, of God, or or even if you don't follow Christianity, you are, if you're a spiritual being and you're in touch with yourself and nature, you'll probably end up in one of these places. Whether you call that guiding influence God or not is kind of irrelevant in my mind. It doesn't matter. And maybe people are going to get on me about this, but like people really worship Jesus Christ, and I get that. Okay, I do too, totally. But I don't think it's good to throw the baby out with the bathwater. If somebody is living righteously or trying to, and they have high ideals for the brethren, for the surroundings, and they want the best for people. I don't care whether they pray to Jesus Christ specifically or not. It doesn't matter. It's just a name. And he didn't want to be worshipped. Not like that. He came to be an example, the truth, the way, and the life. If you interacted with others in the same way that Christ interacted with others in the gospel, everybody did, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. So, this guy's message from God, there's community, you're hidden in the woods, as it says in the book of Revelation, and you're learning to love one another and adapt and make it through those tough times to get to the other side. Well, then you get to the other side, and all of a sudden the civilized world has come back online, and they're after you because you're the enigma, you're the anomaly, you're the thing that didn't get caught in the trap. And then at that point, we'll probably have to, have a different role. I don't know what that's going to look like. But this guy's message went on to, he basically said that we were going to combat, that's when the big battle happens between light and darkness. We're going to, after being attacked basically, then we will have to step into God's will and rid the earth of evil. And I kind of see it like the immune system. Like, say if children of God are kind of like the ones that keep the planet that's being sheltered in the woods, that is learning to respect and honor life, be in tune with it, realize what our role is here on the earth, part animal, part God. Like, we have a higher level of responsibility than the squirrel does, for example, on this planet, as its stewards and keepers. And I think if we're sheltered in the world, and the world provides for us for 3.5 years, then when the artificial disease of modern humanity that is going to attack us at that point, you can kind of look at it like we're going to be the immune system and they're the virus. So they might overwhelm our defenses initially, but guaranteed, once we learn what the threat is, they will have no choice but to be annihilated. Because otherwise, the world won't survive. Nothing will live. They're going to delete everything natural and replace it with synthetic if we don't do something. And I'm not calling this isn't a call to action video. This is just a learn to love one another, and God will guide us. We'll know where we need to be when the time comes. I have a lot of faith in that. So now, how does this all get back to what I'm talking about with my own life, with my wife, and this friend I have that I love a lot, and other people I have around that I love a lot? Well, I'm learning some of these lessons right now, and I think that has to happen, because if you don't learn them now, you won't be ready to take those next steps when the time comes. The selfless next steps that have to come. Like everybody likes comfort, and we all, whether we want to admit to it or not, we all love sin. We do. Like, anybody that's listening to this that says they don't enjoy thoughts of the other sex is lying, probably. And if they're not, well, good for you, and send me a message, because I could use some help. But yeah, I think I've been blessed in a way that me and those around me that we're going to be given an opportunity to have a shot at this, to learn how to live within the divine laws. And I had a friend ask me recently, came over my little cabin building, we were talking about some bigger life things. We were talking about life purpose, and he has his own very specific life purpose, and it could change. I mean, it does often change for people, but as of right now, it revolves around a certain career that he's very gifted at. And, I think that's great that somebody has something that they want to drive towards. And he asked me what my life purpose was, and it took me a second to answer because the first thing that came up was, well, be a good dad, have children. Yeah, that's a pretty good life purpose, I would say, to most people. And I said, you know what though, there's more to it than that. It's not just that. That's one part of my life purpose, is being a good dad. And I think my life purpose, or my life goal, let's say, because I can't at this point know for sure if it's my purpose, but my life goal is to live a divine life. And I think sometimes when you say that to people, they kind of think, oh, this guy's really up on his high horse about stuff. And that's not what I meant by it. What I meant by it was not that I am going to have some spectacular life that's divine in the sense of how we typically, like, you know, in movies and stuff, like when you think of the word divine, think of like an angel or a god or something, some divine being that's all powerful. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, a divine life is in living by divine ideals of how we are to conduct ourselves here. And it's a goal. I'm not there yet. It's a goal. But I think some of the most worthy aspirations in life take the most faith, effort, trust, patience, all these great attributes of God. And they require the deliberate diminishing and pushing back of the opposite aspects. You know, the worldly ones, like lust, greed, vanity, anger, etc., etc. So we have this little community we're a part of, and I can already see there's a few individuals in there that I just want to just bring them in, you know, because I know we're going to need each other from time to time. Even now we need each other, but it's going to become more and more apparent as time goes on that that's what we need. So yeah, if we can learn to love truly unconditionally, we'll get through this for sure. I don't have any doubts. And have some faith, not give in to fear, share what we know with others, and be open to hearing another perspective. Because everyone's got a little piece of the puzzle. It takes many pieces to make a masterpiece. Anyways, I hope this found you well, and I'm not sure that I got out exactly what I was trying to express, but maybe I'll try again some other time, and maybe it'll go a little bit smoother. But anyways, for anyone who heard this, peace be with you, and may God watch over you and yours, and guide you through the times to come. Thank you for listening.